URC semi-finals, top 5 players of the round, folks. We had two pretty bloody exciting semi-finals, you got to admit. Like the URC, in terms of the on-field product and the drama, the theatre of everything, it's going pretty well. I know the Champions Cup was kind of the more prestigious competition, but those games didn't quite have the same, I don't know, back and forth that these URC games had. So what can I say? I've been pretty well sold on the URC playoffs since last week with the old quarterfinals. But yeah, we'll go through 5 players who played their part particularly well at the weekend, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on who you would have if you were picking a top 5, not in any particular order. And I should say, written up a full piece for Planet Rugby for the written version. Check out the link down in the description to Planet Rugby. That and many other bits of rugby news available down there. The first player I'm going to go with is a Stormer, and maybe not one of the more flashy ones that you would have expected. I've gone with Stephen Kitshoff. Now, like I said, the Stormers cracked 40 points in that game. So you could quite easily pick any number of Stormers players who scored some tries or did some particularly flashy passes. But it's easy to remember the game from that kind of end of the game where the Stormers running a couple of tries. But you got to remember, the Stormers started that game pretty poorly. They were dropping the ball. They were starved of possession down their own end a lot. They were under the pump. Connacht had an 8-0 lead. But one of the guys who I felt played pretty well, especially during that kind of under the pump period, was Stephen Kitshoff. I mean, across the game, he manages 17 from 17 tackles. So a proper defensive shift from the big man. He is certainly the top prop this week in terms of tackle made. But he also wins a couple of key turnovers, both in that first half. His team's under the pump. He's the guy who kind of drags them out of the fire. So great to see the captain put in that kind of effort. Also, you've got to remember, I know it's maybe a bit hard with that pitch down there in Cape Town until they relay it. Scrummaging can be a bit tricky, but Malherbe got pinged early on in scrum time, but then a scrum shortly after, Kitshoff's able to get the better of Beirne, who's been scrummaging the house down for Connacht. So Kitshoff penalty is kind of able to get his team out of dodge. So yeah, man, you really want that kind of captain's knock from your big man. You need him to make his tackles. You need him to scrummage well. And I thought he did that pretty well, plus a couple of turnovers, proper icing on the cake. So less flash, more kind of core grunt. But yeah, I thought he did pretty well. Speaking of kind of core grunt, but maybe with a little bit of flash, is the Munsterman Tadhg Beirne. He is a proper nuisance at the breakdown. He's credited with 3 turnovers in that game, but even if he's not winning the turnover, he is absolutely being a nuisance at the breakdown. He's slowing your ball down. He's making you nervous. Anytime you see that blue scrum cap just hanging around about the breakdown, you know you've got to be on form, because he is just absolutely a master of pinching that ball, but he's just always involved. I think he gets like 11 passes in that game, and he carries 9 times while beating 3 defenders. Plus, he's the only Munster player to be able to score a try. Just because, Munster have dropped the ball that many times in that game. Like, when Beirne was near the ball, you felt like a little bit safer. When he was away from it, you thought, they're going to get turned over, they're going to knock it on. Or defensively, when he was around the bouts, you knew they were going to have a good chance of pinching that Leinster ball. So, yeah, man, not the top tackler by any means, but he makes 13 from 15. He put in a good shift, and is certainly a big part of that kind of famous Munster victory. So, 2 kind of defensive stalwarts to start, but we still need a bit of flash. So, it's 2 weeks in a row. I've gone with Manie Libbok. He is in a rich vein of form, coming at the right time, man. Like, he is going to be a guy who goes into a URC final playing absolutely full of confidence. Last week, he scored a pretty impressive 18 points. This week, he tops that with 23, and 10 of them coming from his 2 tries. Now, the second try he gets is kind of like, it's a bit of a doddle for him. He just has to run a nice support line. But the second one, again, it's a support line that he's running for Herschel Yankees from all the passes preceding, but he kind of sets up that try by getting the Stormers on the front foot in the kicking duel, right? Like he's tracking back, he gets the ball, there's a couple of Connacht defenders trying to close him down. He kind of does a wee shimmy dummy and then backs himself and just goes straight between the two of them to get his team on the front foot, force Connacht to kick it back to them, and it's from that kick return that the Stormers are able to counter-attack, and then it leads to his try. So he finishes it, but he kind of also started it, which is, I don't know, it's just kind of satisfying to see that kind of thing. He didn't kick all his goals this week. He did miss, I think it was at like 75%, but pretty bloody windy conditions, so I still thought he kicked it right off the tee, kicked from hand really well. Even defensively, I think he made like something like 9 from 11 tackles, which for a 10 is certainly not a bad shift. Wins a turnover, what can I say? Manie Libbok. He is playing some pretty bloody good rugby for the Stormers. Next player, I have managed to go with a player from one of the losing teams in old Josh van der Flier. Now, I'm a bit of a fanboy of his, what can I say? He's a good player. I like watching him play, so I'm maybe a little bit biased, but I feel like if Leinster win that game, he's certainly one of the guys putting his hand up for man of the match. Now, he starts on the bench, and I'm sure they were kind of not expecting him to get as many minutes as he did. He comes on pretty much in the first minute when Connors goes off injured, but he was immediately visible. He's another guy that the headgear kind of gives him away. Anytime you see his headgear lurking around, you know there's trouble a brewing if you are the opposition, but he wins a turnover pretty much in the first kind of set of phases that he's actually involved in the action. He finishes the game as the top tackler, which is absolutely not surprising at all. The guy is an absolute workhorse. He finishes with 25 out of 27. And on top of that, like how many turnovers did Leinster win in that game? Like how many times were Munster just knocking on the door, about to score a try, and then they pinch the ball? Well, he's credited with 4 of them. So I honestly think if I know Will Connor's a good player as well, but I don't think even he could have put in that kind of shift. I don't think Munster need to go all the way to get a drop goal to win that one if Josh van der Flier is not on the pitch. So I think his contribution, along with many of the Leinster guys, but in particular van der Flier, I think he was a kind of key element in limiting Munster to just that one try. So proper defensive shift. Not able to get as much going ball forward, I'll admit, because Leicester were a wee bit starved of possession. But yeah, defensive masterclass from the Lucy. And then lastly, I would be remiss not to give old Jack Crowley some credit. Now, it obviously all comes down to that drop goal. Like Jack Crowley is how old? Like 23? And like, I know he's played a bit of 12 before. He's played 12 like 4 or 5 times, I think, this year, at least as a starter. But starting a semi-final away in Leinster is certainly a different beast, but he handled it really well. Like, maturity beyond kind of his years and his experience. And then you put on top of that, taking a very, very late drop goal. From memory, they didn't have advantage. Like, they were camped in the right area of the field. They've not been able to score tries despite only that one that Beirne got, but they've been, just starved of the ability to cross the whitewash. It is absolutely the correct time to go for a drop goal. You've got the field position. You've got the pressure. Like, it's the time. The score is it's there for the taking. You just need a drop goal to win the game. But that's honestly easier said than done. 23 years old, away from home. Steps in at 10, when Healy went off. But goodness me, he nailed it. Absolutely clutch moment. Like, that experience is just in the bank for this guy's future. So very, very promising. And I mean, aside from that, he pulls the strings well from the midfield and 10. He finishes with like 20 passes. He runs the ball 8 times, beats a couple of defenders. Not asked to do as much on defence because, as I said, Munster had a lot of the ball, but he still makes like 5 from 7 tackles, wins a turnover. So certainly kind of not run over in the face of like, Henshaw and Ngatai. But man, what a moment with that drop goal. If they go on to do something special, I mean, either way, that drop goal is going to go down in kind of like the history of Munster rugby as one of their kind of key moments. But even more so if they were to go on and win a title. They've obviously got a massive job ahead of them against the Stormers. Very much looking forward to that final. Should be an absolute cracker in a fortnight's time. But yeah, there you go. 5 players from the round. You guys let us know your thoughts. There's certainly other guys I could have picked. I could have got more flash. I went with a bit of grunt to kind of balance things out. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. And as I said, written piece down in the description if you want to check that out as well. You guys let us know your thoughts. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon.